is my honor to be here tonight to recognize the achievements of these fantastic students. As I call your name, please come to the podium to receive your temporary certificate from the supervisor, Ned Hudson, and you are going to get your permanent certificate and monetary award that will be given at the stewardship banquet on April 30th. Friends and family, feel free to take pictures. So number 3 is Ellie Blackwell. And I understand Ellie might be following in the footsteps of somebody. We have a past winner here.
One single staple, one M&M, the width of your fingernail. These things are all 1 centimeter wide. Did you know it can take 1 centimeter of soil a few hundred years to 1,000 years to form? If you pick up your hand, just imagine that you have a handful of soil in it. In that one handful of soil, there are more living organisms in it than people on this earth. What is the first thing that pops in your head when you hear the word organism? I think of tiny living things. Many organisms in the soil are microscopic. The United States Department of Agriculture says bacteria are the smallest and the most numerous of the free living organisms in the soil. Not all organisms in the soil are microscopic. Organisms range in size from microscopic bacteria to the largest earthworm that may be 1 meter in length. That's the width of a large refrigerator. People don't realize that organisms are important to our daily lives. Organisms are crucial to the balance of life, according to Farmers Weekly. It doesn't matter how big or small they are, they still contribute to the soil. Not just the rainforest or the desert can be a habitat for an animal. Believe it or not, the soil is a habitat as well. You might be thinking, what kind of animal lives in the soil? Well, I'm here to tell you that the soil is a habitat for many living organisms. According to Farmers Weekly, there are more living organisms within the soil itself than above its surface. Habitats provide food, water, and protection for the animals living in them. Soil provides these things for many organisms too. Unlike some animals who aren't hard at work all the time, living organisms in the soil are. Their activities determine the physical and the chemical properties in the soil. We know that organisms are important to the soil, but are there things we can do to help the soil? Yes. It can be as simple as planting a tree. You might have not expected planting a tree helps the soil. It does though. As the tree grows, so does its roots. And as the roots grow, it secures in the soil, which prevents soil erosion. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations states that trees increase the soil's ability to absorb and retain water, produce nutrients for plants, maintain high levels of organic matter in the soil, and moderate soil temperatures. When we take a deep breath, we can thank the trees that provide us with oxygen. What do you do with potato peels, tea bags, and eggshells? Have you ever thought about composting? It's another great way to help the soil. All you need is your leftover fruit and vegetable scraps, even if they're moldy. There is no right way to compost, says Rick Carr, compost expert at Rhoda Institute's Organic Farm. You can simply take your fruit and vegetable scraps and put them in a pile of soil. They will eventually decompose in the ground. If you compost all the time or have a garden, you might use a barrel. This requires a little more time and effort, but the result is what some farmers and gardeners call black gold. Composting is very good for the soil and helps the plant's growth. Crop rotation might not sound like something that could help the soil, but it does. Crop rotation is planting different crops in the same area over different seasons to help give the soil nutrients it needs. An example of a simple crop rotation system a home garden may use is legumes, leaves, fruits, and roots. According to Better Homes and Gardens, the leaf plants, which are lettuce, greens, and corn, go where legumes were last year, because legumes fix nitrogen in the soil, and leaf plants need large amounts of nitrogen. The fruits, which are tomatoes, squash, and melons, follow the leaf plants because they need phosphorus, and too much nitrogen causes them not to have fruits. The roots, which are beets, carrots, and onions, follow the fruits because they need potassium, and too much nitrogen potassium, any nitrogen less than the fruits. Finally, the legumes, which are beans, peas, and potatoes, follow the roots to put nitrogen back into the soil. Without crop rotation, the soil uses up the same nutrients over and over again. Crop rotation helps reduce soil erosion, increase soil fertility, and reduce the amount of pests. Crop rotation has been around since ancient times. The Chinese, Greeks, and the Romans experimented with crop rotation in their own fields. Soil is important in our lives. We need to help the organisms in the soil stay healthy. We can plant a tree in our yard, compost food scraps, and rotate crops in our gardens. By making these small changes, soil will continue living in the future. Thank you.
And number 2, Mallory Seymour.
Hi, I'm contestant number 2, and I bring to you the living soil. In this, we'll be learning about material makeup, soil profiles, and the life in soil. Starting off with the bang, which is also known as material makeup. Material makeup is basically soil composition, or just what's found in soil. In ideal soil, you find 25% water, 25% air, 45% minerals, and 5% organic matter. The organic matter is usually in the form of living things, such as earthworms, insects, and microorganisms. But most soils are also rich in decaying organisms. As a plant decays more, it turns into humus, but you probably don't want to eat it because it does not taste like chickpeas. But it is still very healthy for the plant. Humus is good for stability, water storage, and is soft to dig. Humus is great in the soil that loves it, and for the plants that prefer it. The best soil that gardeners love is loam soil. Loam soil is usually equal parts of clay, silt, and sand. By mixing the 3, you get the best of the triad. Clay is fairly dense, holds water well, and has nutrient-retaining properties. Silt comes about in the middle of the 3, and like clay, it has a tendency to compact. Some plants do love the slippery soil, but in contrast, some don't, which brings us into sand. Sand, being so dry, usually loses its nutrients and does not hold water at all. But a mix of the 3 would give you the advantages of water and nutrient storage. It will still hold its shape and still crumble, and will eat almost any plant during any season. But without the exemplary soil, you might never plant what you want when you want it. In order to do so, send a sample to someone who knows what they are doing, or just buy a test kit. By doing so, you have more healthy plants to add to your garden. To check on information, go to How Things Work and then type in the search bar Loam Soil. Moving on to soil profile, which is the layers of soil going deeper into the ground, known as horizons. Starting off at the top horizon, also known as Horizon O. Horizon O mainly consists of organic materials and humus, which is fully decayed organic matter. The next layer is Horizon A, which is also known as topsoil. Topsoil consists of mainly minerals from parent material, which is a little bit of organic matter. After A, there is Horizon E, or alluviated. It is leach of clay or inorganic materials, leaving behind silt and sand. Moving on to B, which is subsoil. Subsoil is rich in organic materials which leach from layers A and E horizons and just stay there. The second to last one is Horizon C, which is where soil starts being made. Finally, the last horizon is Horizon R. Horizon R is also known as bedrock, and it is the deepest layer, but it is not soil. It is composed of a mass of rock, such as granite, basalt, quartzite, limestone, or sandstone, and can form the parent material for some soils. To check on this information, look up All About Soil for Kids. Finally, we reach the third topic, which is the life of soil. Almost all the plants you can think of are semi-rooted to the ground. But not just plants can live in the ground under your feet. Soil is also crawling with live organisms such as earthworms, moles, grubs, centipedes, millipedes, snails, slugs, beetles, ants, fungi, insects, bacteria, and mushrooms, just to name a few. Some of the life found in soil is dead, such as decaying organisms like dead leaves or animals which decompose. Decomposition is when an organic matter decays into the soil and returns the nutrients. It converts the dead matter into usable organic materials that the plants can use for nutrition. By adding plants in the ground, you help yourself, if it's edible, and the soil you are planting it in. Once you plant something or it gets planted in a natural way, you add life to a world of living beings. Life is a gift given to us by nature, and we need to preserve it. All life somehow needs soil. Animals can live in the soil, such as burrowing owls, prairie dogs, and gophers, and nobody wants to see Groundhog Day disappear. To find more animals in the ground, go to animalmistakes.com to find some cute pictures of animals in the ground. Insects can live in the ground too, such as ants or worms. Worms are actually a good thing to have in your soil. They increase the air and water amount in the ground. They break down organic matter into things that the plants can use. And when they eat, they leave behind a fertilizing component that is very valuable to the plant. We as humans need soil. We plant the food we eat in the ground. We raise live animals that eat the grass, which is planted in the soil. And we plant flowers to make our front yard pretty so we can make it on the cover of a home magazine. The soil needs to be conserved. This topic is called the living soil. So stop and think about it. If soil has life in it, why shouldn't we conserve it? We treat pets with so much love, but we treat soil like dirt. No pun intended. So why not treat it the same way? I don't even go outside and say, sit boy, sit, good boy. And if it responds, either go to the doctor for hallucinations or get a sample tested. I mean fertilize it, get it tested so it has the right nutrients, and get help if needed for the right materials. Next time, instead of just standing on the dirt, learn more about it, get dirty. It has a life, you know, or maybe more than one.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is my soil and water conservation speech. We are one. Some people think the earth is renewable, but it's really not. This is because each year, over 325.7 trillion pieces of garbage is thrown away or incinerated. All that garbage not only hurts the earth, but is a danger to you and me. The danger we face is pollution. Webster's definition of pollution is the action of polluting, especially by environmental contamination with man-made waste. This is society's disregard to care for the earth. The earth is alive, and to see this, all we have to do is look at ourselves. We eat what the earth gives us, and therefore we are part of the earth. We use what we have on our planet to live, work, and play. But what happens when we run out of our resources? Today, there aren't enough people focused on taking care of the earth. The United States Environmental Protection Agency states that Americans on average only recycle 34.3% each year. We owe a great deal of gratitude for those who work hard to make the world a better place and make sure we have a better tomorrow. These people need our help to create a brighter future. We can do this by helping influence our peers in industry to utilize cleaner, renewable, and better sustainable resources. These are things like recyclable materials, using only what we need, and decreasing waste. Increasing the use of energy that is environmentally friendly, such as wind, solar, and hydropower. It seems we are on our way. For example, the U.S. Information Administration, or EIA, states solar and wind are projected to be the fastest growing electric resources over the next 2 years. So how can we help? Shop with reusable bags, so plastic bags don't end up in our oceans or in our landfills. Some states no longer offer plastic bags. Shop at stores that sell products made from recyclable materials and recycle them. Buy products that are green or recyclable, like LED light bulbs. They use less energy and are able to be recycled. We can also volunteer to pick up litter, encourage others not to litter, and use items that are able to break down as compost. Encourage your family to drive an electric car, or at least a hybrid, to decrease the need on a dependent or non-renewable resource. Post on social media so these good people have a place to communicate and share ideas for improving our planet, like recycling drives, organized litter cleanups, and simply educating the community. So why don't people help? One reason many people give for not doing things the green way is because they're more expensive. But people have to realize each item we buy has two price tags, an economic price tag and an ecological price tag. Another reason people give for not pitching in is it takes too much time or effort. However, by having easy access to recycling containers in public places and having drives in our community can help eliminate this excuse. Something that can be reused, repurposed, or recreated has more value to our planet, has more value to our future, and should have more value to us all. Recycling is important. We should make this a standard in our schools, parks, and communities. Together we can continue the ecological movement. We can encourage people like you and me to think about how we care for the earth, how we use our resources, and where future resources will come from. If we do this, hopefully we can influence future industry to better use these types of strategies. So next time you buy something, think about where it was made and how. And the next time you use an item, think about what to do with its packaging. Your choices can help support the green movement and change the world. Buy green products, recycle, and save the environment. Thank you and good night.
Our number one is Brenna Arrowwood.
Earthworms. Some of us know them in this room as slimy, gross, and nasty. But earthworms are a big part today on planet Earth. Earthworms break down dead plants and animals, releasing them back into the soil. They may not be very fascinating because they're very slow, but earthworms are a big part today on planet Earth. Reaps.org states that earthworms normally move at a speed of 30 centimeters per hour. Soil is very important, not just for animals and plants, but for everyday human life. The most common crops today in North Carolina are grain, corn, cotton, and tobacco. There are multiple types of soil in North Carolina, the soil type is sisal soil. Sisal soil is a type of deep, well-drained soil found on the slopes and ridges of the Piedmont region. This soil is formed from weathered felsic, igneous, and metamorphic rock. By littering, till farming, polluting, and excess use of landfills are destroying the soil. Did you know that it takes over a century to grow 1 inch of topsoil and can take a short amount of time to destroy? If you're ever wanting to grow crops, make medicine, and nourish plants, you're going to want to save the soil. There are multiple ways to save the soil. For example, plant trees. Planting trees are a good way to add greenery and give the soil a job to do. Recycling your trash can lower pollution levels, standing at more than 95%. By recycling, you're not only doing the soil a favor, but people are also being benefited. Watering the soil occasionally, keeping it wet through hot seasons. But how does a plant take in water? Plants take in water using little string-like things called roots. The roots act like a bunch of straws drinking a huge glass of water and hydrating it during hot seasons. But why is saving the soil so important? Conserving soil is important to sustain animal, plant, and human life, keeping it around for centuries. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, also known as the EPA, clean soil and abundant water resources are all essential for growing crops, raising livestock, and providing the critical services a human needs. 1% of the Earth's water is contained in soil. Articlesextension.org stated, soil water availability is the capacity of water available in the soil. The effect on how much water contained in the soil is determined by the texture of the soil. Earthworms are decomposers like fungi. Earthworms eat dead plants containing nutrients like carbon and nitrogen and release the nutrients back into the soil, strengthening it. Here's a joke for you. What do you call a worm that ate Mozart? What? A decomposer. Do you remember when you were young and were outside in the yard digging in the dirt, making mud pies, or looking for treasure? Well, now, if you were to dig in the dirt, you would see the different colors and layers in the soil. Topsoil is the very first layer. Topsoil is often referred to the A horizon. Topsoil is the layer that provides nutrients for plants to use. Topsoil is a mixture of sand, silt, and clay, and broken down matter called humus. The next layer is called the E horizon. also known as the elevation layer. The E-horizon is mainly made of silt and sand. As the water drips through the soil, it loses its minerals and this process is called elevation. The B-horizon, also called subsoil, contains clay and mineral deposits like iron, aluminum oxides, and calcium carbonate. The layer under the B-horizon is the C-horizon, and the scientific name is the regolith layer. It consists of broken pieces of bedrock. This layer has little to no organic matter. The final layer is bedrock, scientifically known as unweathered rock. This is the strongest layer of all. Bedrock underlies sand and other sediments on the ocean floor. So remember when some of you in this room thought earthworms were slimy, gross, ugly, and nasty? Did you change your mind? Learning about soil is important, not just for adults, but for kids as well. Every person that learns about soil makes a change on planet Earth. Thank you.
First place public speak winner Tammy will email your parents with the details of the area public speaking competition in March. The contest winners will be invited to our stewardship banquet on Tuesday, April 30th. Please look for the invitation. It will be coming out in March, I'm assuming. All contest winners are also invited to be recognized at a future Board of Commissioners meeting after the stewardship banquet. The information about that meeting will be sent out by Tammy to your parents as well. Judges, thank you for your time this evening. Public speaking students, I invite you to meet with the judges and see what tips they might offer you. And thank you for participating in this event and informing yourselves more about conservation. We do have all kinds of activities going on through Tammy. So educators, if you're interested, please talk to her. She might have some things to offer. So we appreciate that you took the time to do this. You're going to be great leaders and great stewards of the community, and that's an awesome thing to start now. Thank you for your efforts. We look forward to seeing you where you all will go. Please step back there and take more refreshments if you want to. And you all have a great night. Thank you.